There's a lot going on right now behind the scenes, and what's happening right now is what we could call the Great Awakening. So many people around the world are becoming aware that there's something else going on that maybe isn't being told to us. And what's happening is what I believe is called the timeline crunch. And what this has to do is understanding that there's this merging going on, and right now it's more important than ever to be in the state that we prefer. And I'm going to share with you exactly some of the things this means, plus exactly how we can best move through it. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness and raise their vibration by making spirituality practical and relatable. Now, on this video, I'm going to show you what I call the timeline crunch. And what is happening right now is, think of it kind of like a compression of energy, a compression of different probabilities that are happening right now. And there's different way in the collective that it is manifesting. There's different pockets. Now I'm going to be explaining this. Now, just to give this video a little bit of context, I've made a couple of videos. I will link those below. I also have a playlist that is all about the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is something that millions of people all over the planet are aware of right now. And it has to do with understanding that there are a lot of things coming to the surface right now. There's a lot of things in the collective happening with the media, and a lot of things that have been happening behind the scenes. We could call that. There's certain elite people that have been doing things, and people are starting to question things. The mass amount of people are starting to look at what the media is saying, what's actually happening, what they're experiencing. And because people are going inwards right now, they're starting to wake up to more of who they are. I have seen it just in my own life as well. I look on social media, so many people are questioning things. So many people are asking new questions. Some people that I never really thought would have been into this kind of information are starting to realize, yeah, maybe there's something else going on. And that could have to do with the intentions of maybe some of the things that are going on right now, the intentions of certain people that are behind the scenes with power. And the Great Awakening is about us as a collective consciousness waking up to this. And I've talked about it. There's I always have them right over there. The books, The Law of One, The Raw Materials, or Dolores Cannon's book. She has 17 books, 19 books, just 2 others that her daughter had as well. They're transcripts of people in a very deep level of hypnosis who have said, many people all over the world have said, in this subconscious state, in this deep hypnosis state, that they came here. Why did they incarnate at this time? Because at our core, we're all eternal spiritual beings, having temporary human experiences. Why did we do that? We came here because we wanted to wake up. We wanted to go through the mass awakening, the big shift in consciousness. There's many different labels for it, many different names for it, but we wanted to be a part of this. Never before has this many people at this kind of way been able to wake up to a higher level of consciousness. And it means that there's going to be, I think, magical, amazing things that fall apart, which can look a little bit dark and grim on the front, but there's going to be so much amazing things that manifest. And I think that right now on the planet is the most exciting time to be alive than ever before. I really believe that. And right now we're living through history with a lot of the things that's happening right now. Like, what we're living through right now will be talked about for decades to come. And part of this, though, the seed that's being planted is the Great Awakening. And it's causing so many people to wake up, and it's a great thing. Now, like last night, for example, my mom texted me. My mom's been like studying a lot of this type of information for a while, knowing there's stuff going on behind the scenes. You know, since I went through my awakening in 2012 is when I really looked into it. But what happened is you go down certain rabbit holes, and I started to notice certain patterns, but I didn't like the way it made me feel, because studying it can sometimes be not the most positive thing. When you're studying, like, why would an elite group of people keep billions of people in the dark about who they really are as spiritual beings having temporary human experiences, that they create their own reality? And if you keep them in the dark, the idea is that, hey, well, then we can control the narrative, and we can have them just kind of like, you know, be in that unawareness, and then we can kind of pull the strings. And now what's happening is that's getting brought into the light. But when I learned about that in 2012, I went through like a month or two of like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. And things started to connect some dots, but then eventually I let it go, and I was like, you know, I need to focus on like my own way of helping people and not get too much into it. Now, my mom and I, like when I went through it, then my mom actually went through the awakening as well. And then now that all of this stuff is happening, this is stuff that we've been knowing kind of would eventually happen, because there'd be certain things that manifested to where it just had people either wake up or also to take down like these people that are behind the scenes pulling strings, so they in a way lose their power. So there's different events that would come to fruition for that. Now, and just let me say this as well, it doesn't make anyone, like the Great Awakening and having these spiritual awareness doesn't make anyone more special than anyone else. It doesn't make anybody more woke than anyone else. I think everybody's on the same playing field. It's just certain people are waking up in their own timings. So let me just say that as well, because I don't want it to, sometimes when we come to these things, we start to develop like an ego about it. It's like, oh, this is I'm awake, they're all asleep, or something like that, you know. But it's still to have compassion for other people. You know, I'm very mindful with what I post on social media, because I know that I want to kind of ease people into this understanding, rather than be like, look what's happening behind the scenes, or something like that, you know. So with that being said, my mom texted me yesterday. She's like, Aaron, can you, like, I was meditating and I'm kind of worried about things, and my mom's also been studying a lot of this stuff that behind the scenes, watching a lot of YouTube and kind of going down different rabbit holes. And I go into it and then I come out of it and I kind of digest the information. I kind of see what resonates. A lot of sometimes stuff won't resonate. But the thing that I was explaining, kind of, you know, sharing with my mom, is that the timeline crunch is understanding that right now on the planet, there are timelines where what's going on the planet right now would happen for months and months and months and months. There are timelines where it affected way more people than it actually did. There are timelines where Bill Gates is actually able to move forward with his whole vaccination thing, you know. But it's super interesting that so many people are waking up, because as so many people wake up, it's literally merging our timelines. It's crunching our timelines onto more optimal or onto different ones. Like, you know, not to get too like into it. The thing I always recommend as well is do your own research with a lot of this stuff. But from the research I've done, there are people that are in a way kind of, you could say like these elite people that are behind the scenes, many of which we've never seen. What they do is they use different celebrities to, in a way, harness that attention. So the celebrities, in some way, there's really big name celebrities, a lot of which many of all of us know, you know, grew up watching some of them. And what happens is they're a part of this thing, but they're just kind of doing what they're told in a way. Doesn't make it right, but they're just kind of doing what they're told. And you've got somebody like, do your own research with this, but you got somebody that like Bill Gates, for example, who is pushing and who has government funding from the World Health Organization, all these other things that funnel into it that make it look really legit, right? But then you find out things of how horrible it's been for other people that have maybe had the vaccinations in other countries, right? Hundreds of thousands of people that have died or been way worse. And what is apparent is that you know, it used to be like a lot of people weren't aware of this, and the media could spew it a certain way, and even still some people probably be like, no, that's actually a good thing. But the way that this elite stuff kind of behind the scene works is there are times that what they do is they get together, they understand that the mass consciousness of people, how people think and feel, and if people are in fear and anger, they're much more easily able to control, they're much more likely to look to authority for guidance and for certainty. So what if behind the scenes what they think to themselves is, what if we orchestrate an event that keeps people in a whole bunch of fear, and then what we do is we give them the solution. If they're like, oh, we want people to be open to some type of vaccination, then what we'll do is we'll give them, we'll have something to where they're in a lot of fear, and then they'll actually be open to it, because they'll do it out of wanting certainty, wanting safety, wanting security. Oh, well, let's do this, and then we'll get them open to this. That's kind of the idea. And when you look at somebody like Bill Gates, who's just kind of doing what he's supposed to be doing from, you know, different types of influence, it's stuff that has very negative connotation. But it's very interesting how many people wake up. If you go to any of his newest posts on Instagram, you'll probably see hundreds of thousands of comments from people, of which like 7 out of 10 will be people that are saying, hey, we don't want your depopulation thing and stuff like that, you know. And like I said, do your own research with this. And I know this to some people will sound kind of out there, you know, and it'll sound kind of conspiracy, but understand as well that there may be other stuff going on, and you just got to start doing your own research. to see what resonates, what doesn't resonate. So when I talk about timeline crunch though, which of whether we're on the optimal timeline or not so optimal timeline will depend on us, and I believe different pockets of energy, different pockets of us as a collective. One thing that we did recently on April 4th or 5th, whichever date it was, 4th and 5th, I think it was both because it depends on where you were around the world. It was 4th for me in Las Vegas. There was a global meditation. There was over 1.1 million people meditating on us being on the most optimal timeline, on sending peace and love and healing to those being affected by what's going on right now. And if you look at the Schumann resonance that day, it was off the charts. It was like unprecedented amounts. It was crazy. And with that many million of people focusing, we have the ability to literally shift our timelines. Even when I did that meditation alone, I think there was like 11 or 12,000 of us live just on that, you know, but there was 1.1 million people all around the world doing it. So it's like, first off, thank you if you were there. It was amazing, and it was, I felt like it really made a huge difference in the collective. And what happens is when we do those, when we set the focus on optimal timeline, and which means like the best case scenario, like everything kind of like disintegrating, not so many people being affected by what's going on, people being in peace and harmony, the earth cleaning itself, or us cleaning up the earth and not doing, you know, what we've been doing to it and stuff like that. When we have those intentions, it has a very powerful effect. So one thing that happens right now is by us getting together doing global meditations, we are setting ourselves on more and more optimal timelines. I truly believe that we would be on not such a great timeline right now if we, as millions of people, over 1 million people, didn't do that meditation. I think that the outer reality would be a little bit different, and it wouldn't be as optimal. So this is something to think about as well, but also individually, which reality will we experience? Now, when people talk, because I get a lot of people right now asking me about forced vaccinations and stuff, like they're worried about that. Now, the way that I view it is that we have our own power, and that we're part of the Great Awakening. So many people are waking up that if that's something we don't want, we state that. We just don't do it. We don't move forward with it. Well, what if they force you? It's something that we figure out as we go, and we team together with our own energy. But also this, think about this. There are many different timelines that exist right now. And if you're fearful about it, maybe that's the version, the pocket of energy of timeline that you experience where that is more of the case. You see? So it could be that depending on our own state of being determines which one we individually are on. Because what quantum physics shows us is that there's an infinite number of potential realities that exist. So from what I feel as well, the timeline crunch of 2020, and I believe it'll continue to go on, there are timelines where this maybe they've had even more power, and maybe this thing affected even more people than it actually did. Maybe there was other things that happened with things moving forward with the whole vaccinate. Like, there's many different layers to this that could be way worse right now, but we're not on that timeline. So the key to this is knowing that as we choose our own focus, our own state of being, we then can choose which timelines we shift to. And one of the most powerful things we can do, and I'll link that video below as well, the one that's on the optimal timeline live meditation that I did. You could still listen to it. It still has very powerful energy because there were so many of us at once doing it that you pick up on the energy momentum of it. So I recommend doing that as well to add energy to that, us being on that timeline, that optimal timeline. But realize that the thing I told my mom when she was texting me like, oh, what about this? It was like disengage and start to put energy into what you want. You know, this is a time of our own power, of us taking back our power. So if we see things we don't want in the world, we can look at it and say, no, I prefer this. But the more we tune ourselves to the fear and the anger of the media, the more we resonate with it, the more likely we are to be influenced by the agenda of whatever that is. And realize there are many different levels of different agendas of things right now. Because behind the scenes, a part of the Great Awakening is there's this fight for having control of what people think. But we have the power of the internet now. And even like the videos, a couple of the videos I made on the Great Awakening, they've been shared so many times, so many people are becoming aware of it. And I'm not the only one making content on this. It's just something I've newly actually started talking about just because I saw the demand and figured, hey, I want to put my perspective on it. But the reason I say this is because we as a collective are the ones with the power. We are the ones that get to choose what we experience. There are many different timelines right now. Even when I look at my own life, I believe, past, future lives, we're infinite spiritual beings that are connected at many different levels. I look at even my own past lives, the way, what I feel intuitively about it. I can feel that I'm completing certain cycles right now. I'm completing certain patterns. When I went to, when Leora and I were together, in the end of 2019, we were traveling and we were in Tulum, and I could strongly feel that I had a past life in the Mayan culture. And I also felt, and then in that past life, I think it was very symbolic because I think that Leora and I were also connected in that past life. And Leora and I are still great friends. But but it was like I could feel that I was completing certain cycles. I was completing certain energy dynamics, and she was as well, for sure. And as I've moved through that, even just like the last couple months, I'm realizing my own patterns. I'm realizing the own things that like the lessons and the themes that I've been working through, and I'm completing them and in a way learning from them, and then moving on and becoming free, and then experiencing more of the timelines of what I want. It's really a time of taking back our power, and understand that it's like also just a general side note as well. It's something I've been realizing recently. If you study numerology, astrology, and all these other really cool healing modalities for understanding ourselves, I think they're really cool, and I I love numerology, I love astrology, I love all these things. But one thing that I've really learned this last month is just to take my complete power back and realize that sometimes if I'd read something, I would then think, oh, maybe my day has to go like this, or maybe this is the way things are, or I'd almost put myself into a little box. And one thing I'm realizing with this whole timeline thing is like the belief systems we have keep us on certain timelines. And if we become free of them, we can then create whatever we want. Yes, sometimes, the knowledge is powerful, awareness is powerful, but use it as a tool, don't let the tool use you. That's what I recommend. And with the timeline crunch of 2020, this whole time is about taking back our power. It's about choosing what we want. It's about going on the optimal timeline we want. And parts of these things I believe will continue to happen, but it's all about us and what we choose, us taking back our power, and us getting together as well and doing things like meditation and setting that positive intention. So if you haven't seen that meditation yet, I'll go ahead and link it below. Check out the series on the Great Awakening, the whole playlist that I have to learn more about it. It goes really well with this whole timeline crunch idea. Let me know what you think. Comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, peace, much love, and namaste.